Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
Hello, my Kimberly. I'm the host of Heart, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Heart Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.
Energy for today, which is, by the way, 18th of September. Where did the time go? Like September's moving at the speed of light. Is it just me? Is it just me observing? It's moving pretty fast. Have you observed that the month is moving pretty fast? Moving pretty fast. Great. So apparently, I'm not the only one who is saying it, and it means that 2023 is moving at the speed of light. As a matter of fact, election years are usually quite interesting and fast. For the anticipation for the election, the amount of it, then you start to take stock of government 100 days into the administration before you know it's Christmas. But good. It's been quite an eventful year for us. We've had to deal with cash crunch, in which it was cash in circulation because of a policy introduced by the CBN. By the way, Emir is here in the custody of the special police, and his case is still on. We'll get his hands out. We have a new CB governor at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see what policy reversal or what policy introduced. And if by December, which is the deadline, we would have more of the new currency in circulation to be business as usual. Time to unravel all of that. Oh, I'm Kimberly Nwachukwu, if you're wondering. I'm the Oracle, the digital Oracle, OTF, the first speaker of Chanya, one of Nigeria Info. I know someone who gets very uncomfortable when I read all of my title. He's here. I don't know why you're Clawole Johnson. He's a communication specialist, a political analyst, and please throw in BVN, BBN, PPN, QPN to his title. Oh, no, you don't want Wahala. You're welcome.
Oh, my.
Why do you get when I go on and on and on long title? What, you think it's not my heart?
On the day of birth, with a name.
Yeah.
And if you want more, it's either you go to school, you can get your PhD professorship and all of that.
Of honorary. You don't know more
Honorary,
people walk around with honorary titles.
They themselves doctor, despite
Exactly.
I won't argue that. You sit in this studio, empowered by your millions, and you call Oracle of the Earth. What was one man? Which pick up? Which motion?
All the liberation we do every day and the items air.
Come.
Week in, day out for a decade.
Constitutionally, they still pass resolution and they don't even for you here. You still won't stop at that. You go still the long time. Oh yeah, come again.
It doesn't. That's not the subject of conversation today. You've heard them. You know them. I feel you think about them every time I invite you.
No. See, I refuse to be shot. Don't worry. I will gain height at Michael. Kimo, good afternoon, Abuja.
Yes, delighted to have you. I'm glad. I am very uncomfortable with September moving pretty fast because I know you've told us you're all through September. I don't know where. I have to appreciate when we get to October.
By mid-October off.
Mid-October, you're off. All right. We'll take what we have now.
Except you don't want videos.
No. Feel free. Pay your bill.
Thank you.
All right, people, with the Roundtable, where we take a look at big stories driving conversation in Nigeria. Anshan Kolawole, we've got a new CBN governor, and interesting to see what new CBN governor is going to bring to the table. Last CBN governor was controversial from his interest is running for the office of the president, denied or greeted. Even so, we saw Vico saying he wasn't the one, to fully admitting that he was pulling out the race, to the even more controversial monetary policies and redesign of the Naira that took place right under his watch. We've had people go to court, higher Supreme Court, to challenge it. He was told groaning pain that Nigerians through scrambling for their money, buying their money just to have, some cash in their pockets to do their everyday transactions. To the point where he was alleged terrorism, to the drama when we were picking up when it was talked about going on, which he didn't go for, by the way, and the whole back and forth with the DSS and the court, to having a new scene governor. It'd be interesting to see if this is going to be this new general Olayemi, Cardoso to be half as dramatic as the previous one. It's going to come up with very interesting policy to move things forward, because with the state of the economy, with the inflation and all, we need a healthy synergy between trade and fiscal policy. We need people who work together, and we need, God help us, brilliant ideas to see how make things a lot better for us in the country. So what do you know about this man, Kolawole Johnson? And I know you're not an oracle, can't see much. But I can take some of your words to the bank, most spot on in some of your analysis and predictions about certain things, and to say, what do we hope to expect from the new CBN governor?
People disagree, fight you.
Sometimes we disagree to agree.
It's the kind of population we have, the kind of denial we've had in terms of deliveries of good governance for years. So when you see people, you should understand. And, when you have a system that deliberately starve people of the right nation. So, unfortunately, because they've lied for too long. So when you even hear things coming from them, typically believe. So today, in Nigeria, of course, not even today, we had a research done back to back and discovered that people will believe a lie of an opposition or the lie man on the street than the truth government. It was during one bank project some years back. Clearly, that's the truth. Even when you're being fed with the wrong information from the space, as long as it is not government or one government agency, you believe it, because the government agencies have specialized over time in, churning out deceit and, innuendos all around. It's not their fault. So when you're trying to set the record straight and you meet the state position, again, you should understand. Of course, you can't even get angry with people, especially when things, when those things are driving emotions at a particular. I got some calls after I left the studios here on the issue we discussed. One call that actually Gladys was a very senior member, of their team. I know what you said is this, is that, but you shouldn't have taken that position. Now, the Supreme Court. That we know it is the truth, but of course, let's leave that. So back.
I also got a number of calls off of people who had all kinds of opinions to share about. But
I can assure you something. I said those specific issues isn't just. I've gone again to quite a number of speakers thereafter. Good they have said, you also just go through what they have said over time. Practically, you will not see, issues are quite, they are not. Chief Checkers Okori clearly said something yesterday or thereabout. Again, good. It is not a personal. The truth is the truth. It doesn't matter whether it is accepted now or not. What we shouldn't do is to suppress the truth, and what we know is not the truth, to harm and destroy our institution. That's not the pick for the day. Governor, the new CBN governor, the CBN governor, he has not been confirmed by the National Assembly, and that regardless of the characters we have in institutions, their roles are very defined by the Constitution. So until the Senate, Nigerian Senate confirms the man, we can't call him the CBN governor yet. Okay. He's still the acting CBN. Although we heard that he has resumed today. No, I think it was we heard that
who resumed.
The action was the president in Lagos, and I think they used headmaster. In those days, whatever that passed across, that does this unit will not have a head, as in will not scale through. So the headmaster, because of that, a very very thorough, for the matter, and very also. And if you look at his track, he's done some good things with Wale Edun, and you can be sure that you may not see anything too different from what you're seeing now with the government.
Can we go on a quick break, please?
Okay.
Nigeria, the elections have come and gone, and we know fake news.
Hello, this is Kimberly, a host of Hard Facts, bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.9 Hard Facts. I'll get you on your context, but can be here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Central Bank of Nigeria is to serve a term of 5 years, the first instance pending constitution. And we're talking him with our guest, Colony Johnson. Yes, headmaster, the head teacher back in the day. Headmaster,
when he was in Lagos. They say he was in his cabinet. You know, about the president, of course. And say when he was in Lagos, you would look who worked with him. Solid team. Could consider them. Now, from Wale Adun to the present, the newly nominated
Olayemi.
Cardoso, quite a number of them, they were good guys in those days. So we hope they'll be able to do better. Of course, it's a long time. They must have learned new things. And some of them have not been very ideal. They've been doing Wale Adun. He has done quite a few things. At some point, we were thinking it was him that, that would be sent to the CBN as a governor. But I think however, must also be careful. I don't know. This is difficult. It's the truth. Even though it was done before, I don't think for us to have the finance minister Southwest, the CBN governor from the Southwest. Sorry, is the truth. We can't look away. We can't shy away from the reality, trying to be tribalistic.
No, but he brought that one up also. I mean, give some of the recent appointments. The federal rule, the federal inland revenue also from that. So you're looking at some critical areas where you're getting people.
All of them. I think it's not reflecting the kind of diversity we have in there. And we must accept differences and ensure that we're around it. We can't these differences and assume that, of course, I know these hands are good, but hands are not, no zone has the monopoly of good hands. We must also clearly watch out for that. I remember during OBG also, the CBN governor from the Southeast also had the minister again from the Southeast. Remember this, right? So that happened. But that very time, Nigeria was not like this. We were not in this kind of
polarized.
Yes, we're not in this kind of polarization, this kind of noise. So now that the reality is that we must manage it, based on the situation of the moment. You do proper situation analysis. Again, you say, what we want good governance. Yes, but for the delivery, people have that patience again these days. It doesn't matter whether the person you're bringing would do much more than every person. They want to see that reflection, of it's our thing, not your thing. So we must be careful again to ensure, as long as we don't want to sacrifice our excellence on the altar of where you don't come from. We must also ensure that like the diversity. I don't think about the situation where you have the FRS, the CBN governor, and the finance from the same zone, Southwest. I don't think it is. Again, a president is from the same zone, so we should just watch this, try to see how to, again, as a government,
that is even beyond the argument of people are saying, yes, he's made several appointments. We've seen people come also from the northwest and the northwest of the country.
Yes.
But then also like that, I was reading and that's trying to argue like, okay, if you have previous administration fill the gap, so many people from a certain region and is up top, it might look like it's coming from there, but these are strategic offices occupied from the same region.
You had more terrible situations, but to uphold that, we all criticize that. So we shouldn't again live by that situation where all the security chiefs were the same part of the country. It's unfair. So much that if you discuss security issues, there are some zones but it is, of course, spread across now. Good one. I'm just saying that let's a semblance of that at all in any way. You see, someone did it, but it was done by a particular zone. I mean, we should do this. I tell you, this what we're experiencing now, this kind of noise, start today. It started from 96. Let me take you back a little. Nigeria had a very system between 1960 and 1966. But by 1966, 15, the military struck. Was it 15th or thereabouts? And we ended the First Republic. And it was called, I don't know the tribe, but it was called a coup from a tribe, And the person that was in power was from a certain part of the country and took away the competition you had and brought the unitarism to us of the federalism that was driving the regional growth. And the first the person did was to promote 21 officers. 19 of them was from his own side of the. That started that was the height of extreme nepotism in the country. And others also. So when there was a counter coup 6th July, those ones also buy, because they copy what they meant on ground anyway. And they try to also fuel their people flip the system on people. Fortunately, we can't continue that way. Let all our fathers, they did us wrong as a people and deviate from that. That's what I'm saying for us. And now we start charting the new course and not follow that. Not that, each one, once you have your, they say, now, so do anything you like. We can't afford that. If we want a united country, we must
Find
put
that
into
balance.
the balance that we need at all times. So the guy is a good, perfect, excellent. I mean, I can't him, pretty good. And he's been a team working for the president. During the ministerial screening, I think if you listen to some of ministers screening them, let me see one particular example. The lady from Imo State talked about the fact she's been part of the president working economy team. So you have quite a number of them working in different places, even the announcement. Yeah. So let's expect the very best. I doubt if you expect different from what the president has said or what they have been driving, because he has been parting from time.
So everything is falling in line with whatever economic fee that they have.
Yes.
The in terms of looking at some of the agenda of the president.
Drew those things together. Most of them were not drawn outside these figures. Oh yes. Even the man of the man was written.
And we're looking at big players here in terms of complement each other for the fiscal and the monetary policy. Right. The last administration, we saw kind of discordancy in the relationship between, when the CBN governor to come up with the redesign, the finance minister had zero idea of it.
Now, that is
enough meeting to saying, I'm not aware of this.
You can't separate fiscal. Let me not delve much into this area, but clearly they can't each other.
Yeah.
The monetary policy, well, you can't separate them completely to function. Again, as long as you can separate them, they have their balance that they create when they are independent. They can be.
No, it's not fusion of them, but to say. Expect that somehow you need to.
It was most unfortunate. It was most unfortunate that we had a political CBN governor. Let's not just try to dance around very clearly. Lead the campaign. The fact that he needed to, dance to the tune of the few members of the cabal of that government, to sustain him in power, and it was unfortunate. The dollar bracket. The rentier economy.
Yeah.
Some got dollar. It's so unfortunate. Then you see Abuja. Let me know if you're made, but you see people who have no business with dollar, they give them allocation and they come out to sell them. They become overnight millionaires. And manufacturers who need this thing, who have words are brought to their school fees, are not able to get some dollar. But only those who don't have a business with it get them very free of charge. So I think we have a very you can give kudos to the likes of Sanusi, but very last governor. If you get that kind of applause, he was he came highly recommended. I don't know why he had politics.
It was more dabbling in politics.
Yes. I think it was at the point that he was delving into politics that I think that if you check the number of EDC license in his time, it was more than we've had all in history before time. So unfortunately, again, cerebral guy too. Because you can't say he's not brilliant. He didn't get there, by some stump of the finger.
Yeah.
Of course, he rose through the ranks in the banking sector to get to where he got to. And it wasn't badly until politics came. So maybe we should also advise them to also separate, to take politics completely, so that he would also end up, at
being
the last.
Drawn into the.
Yes. But we must pick that must be said. The fact that the man, I keep saying something. I remember when he was rearrested in the bank, or when they didn't allow the order of the to get with him, and they say, "Oh no, he should rot in jail." So much he wrecked havoc. He did that. So you don't pay. The system will be good. We cannot do. The law is the law. It is given. Let's obey. The person operated with impunity without the law. Doesn't mean that we should also go, in that, on that track. So for me, I think we should also ensure that we advocate for him to get justice in good time. It is good for the system, not for him. He doesn't deserve it. I was in this same studio, the number of business out by that policy.
Yeah.
Long before it happened. Some of your callers also me. Remember.
A lot of people are looking from a lens, the political lens of it. If there was no money in the section, it's going to drive down value.
Who told you that it?
And then they hit everybody that apparently that is not the only way to get things.
I said, well, sorry to say, because I said it then, I said it won't affect us. We are only advocating for the people. I'd buy one single naira. And not one. I was only saying for the good of the people. In fact, me buying, I was given small allocation. What they were giving me? More to spend. Of course. And I told you that even you, You could as well access. You may not be able to access much, but small you will access. You are doubt if you're turning naira all through. I did not buy. But most of those
I
with
POS and exchange a steeper sum for it once or twice.
Once or because you buy most of your things from the supermarket.
Yes.
But why about the woman by the roadside? What do you want to happen to him? I mean, to her. How about the that will bring goods from the farm to the roadside to sell? Want to them? How about who bring perishable things like and they need to? Do you know those fruit prices came down? I told you. No, because those guys were forced to sell because they just needed to go. Some had to sell; they had no food to eat. They had those things to go. So that hurt the system. I don't think we can recover from that in the next. Well, let me not say, first wrong thing. But I gave you the instance of Yanden that had its own 4 years after. The economy has not recovered fully from that. But unfortunately, we don't even have the right environment where we measure impact of most. But I can bet you that what at that time destroyed so many businesses, and many of them may not be able to recover for the next 2, 3, 4 years. Well, we wish the new CBN governor or the acting CBN governor best, good luck, and do well for Nigeria and Nigerians at large.
Yeah,
Thank
he
you.
was a former chairman of Citibank Nigeria, this leader in the financial and development sector, 30 years experience in the private public or profit organization, and with diverse governance experience, he sat on the board of Texaco, Chevron, chaired the board of EF in a financial sector development organization supported by Bill and Melinda Gates, and served in government as economic planning and budget for Lagos State, championed the financial reform process, led to the state development of independent tax revenue. And in his capacity and policy expert, Mr. Cardoso has collaborated with major international development organizations, including the World Food Foundation, UN Habitat Health Organization, and the Swedish Development Fund. And is a recipient of several awards, including honorary doctorate degree in business administration from our university, his alma mater, and the Global English Alumni Award from Sept. Masters in Public Administration, Harvard Kennedy School, where he was a fellow. All right, just a brief of the man who is in capacity as the CBN governor. Let's move on to the next story, quickly. And I know a lot of drinking and sitting comfortable with 17, busy 507 per litre. How much do we? Yeah.
You don't even know. Big woman.
No.
I hear you. Oracle. Madam Speaker.
Promise you, it has nothing to do with that. I just go, I close
It's 617.
and I buy a fixed amount.
617.
And wherever I read it or I accept it and I leave. I am not emotionally attached to the figure. Right?
Whether you buy half or you buy, you still be the one to buy again. If you can fill your tank and leave.
No, you can't fill your tank and leave like that.
Also, when you like to consume less,
you will buy a special amount and be monitoring your moves. All right.
Kind of movement we must do. See, I think one good thing here is that people that used to be fake big boys, now a friend of mine came to greet me from the island, Keja, and he brought just one car, not just one car. He brought Shaibu like that. Before he would bring G-Wagon and like two, an escort, and I keep asking him, why are you doing all of this? But he was just showing off now on government money now for church. He came with just one car. I laughed. Him. I used to have an Oga, one like that, and he had all his cars, all SUV, big ones, V8. He went to buy a small car, and Oga Patapata is having a small car to work. There's no big car again. See, we must live within our means, not the thing you not reach. You see big men, they have like 20 somethings in their house. Energy theft, force them, they don't pass.
Because they don't pay the
They
time.
don't pay. They don't. In fact, and the officials of this, or let me just call it that we all know, they can't even get entrance to their house, and they don't even have the guts to disconnect them. Yet, a lot of things happen in places. I mean, inside their homes.
In terms of the consumption of energy.
The consumption and paying. Yeah, the government is paying half. They are not paying for the one before. No, they stole some. Even the one that they didn't steal, government is still paying part of it. The same thing. The government was only funding tile of the people like you, But now, we all know our level.
Okay, let's get to the story. Let's not digress at all. Because talking about the government, what you're doing, oil marketers are saying that the government is practicing Quasi subsidy. that we should expect to go up any minute now. Nigerians have been expecting another hike in the pump price of petrol as a result of the rise in the cost of crude oil, coupled with the depreciation of the naira dollar. Oil marketers explained that of crude oil and the exchange rate of the dollar accounted for over 80% of the PMS. Brent crude, the global for oil, rose to $94 per barrel on Sunday, which is the highest we've had this year. Oil had the year at about $82 per dip to $70 in June, but traded $82 per barrel in the last week. So the government and the NPC had insisted the on petrol had ended, following the direct downstream oil sector operators insisted on Sunday that the government was implementing some sort of quasi subsidy. They explained that with the latest rise in oil, the cost of petrol was meant to increase. Stress if the government insisted on leaving the commodity at 17 naira per litre, then subsidy on PMS has been returned quietly. The National Publicity Relations and Independent Petroleum Marketer Association of the Chief Chinedu Okadike statement said that the group chief executive of NNPC is one of, in the statement, that as long as the dollar continues to, Nigeria should not expect petrol to be pegged. So the crude is also on the rise, and its impact petrol price, because PMS is from crude. And in this the price deregulation regime, what rise the dollar goes up automatically means that the imported petrol product would increase. So every other related service would rise. So if it has been consistent at this amount for this while, in spite of rise, then, I mean, rocket science to figure out who coming to settle the difference so as not back anxiety in the country. But then even at that, how long can we go on with the people are calling it a charade? I don't want to go up any 1 naira extra. People will be convulsing on the street. That's how bad it is. Whoever is paying the difference, thank you very much.
Paying, right?
Just be paying it. But then it brings us back to this controversial issue of the recovery, which the government is not accepting just yet. But I think for the average man on the street understand that someone is the gap and the difference. And it's left for us to see when they had become, how much it's cost us and how it's going to go for at this point in time.
Okay. I was going to the data of the billions of dollars that countries world are spending on it. Now, at some point, there's no government. That is why across you don't have a capitalist system in place. It's always a mixed. It always be mixed economy. In most countries today, that is a practice. You don't go fully on the socialist angle. You don't also go fully on the capital angle. In the U.S., other countries, the reason you have the social, pay, those nets, it's because they've also brought in some elements of socialism, to the system. Even though they are capitalist in Nigeria, we are not different. The government came in. There was nothing we could do at that time. We just could not continue with that regime. Imagine the oil price going to this point now to $9 per barrel, crude oil. And we're still rising from the point where. Now, the projection of having to spend maybe 7-point-something billion naira on subsidy would have not been realistic, would have been talking about something much more. So imagine spend 11 trillion, 12 trillion alone in a single year. Where do that as a nation? Except we have to say we can't cope. We don't have the capacity. Last year, I think it was Kenya that also started it. As Ruto was sworn in, took away part subsidy from gas and grains. Of course, the people shouted all of that. Followed Ghana by March. It's on two. By Nigeria followed. By Angola. After all, these are, of course, oil producers.
Major, yeah.
That is to tell you that globally the trend is the same. The economy is biting. So there are some things you can continue with, not because you don't want to, you don't have the capacity again to do that. Already, Nigeria is laboring hard on that debt. So we needed to manage. It was the most important thing to do, to say, okay, let's opt out of subsidy. Even though we all agreed as a nation that the best these would have been done would have been years back. Next time was when the government came in government. Even though the last government planned for it, got for it, but ran from that responsibility. And the new person did it good. some point, you also want to think of your city, of the people. How can they bear this? We discussed in this studio for those in government to also sacrifice, clearly, but this is not even the,
That
type of,
conversation,
so I'm saying, is that it's from the initial place to 5, then to 617, and every single thing affected. How much risk can the people ought to bear within this short of time? It is too sudden. The thing is that, no, we can't be any longer. The government said, I think he had address. He gave one recently, maybe a month ago, thereabout. The president also agreed at some point they will see where to intervene. Just leave it to, to keep working like that. That they will look for a place to intervene. And that will still mean the return of the subsidy.
Called the government talking about intervening at any.
So the intervention is simply, okay, don't worry, we'll subsidize and pay the back as much as we were
Now, a conversation when Kenya decided to suspend the subsidy regime for a period, about a month or thereabout, because the biting, effect of it on the people.
Yeah.
And then a lot of Nigerians were nudging the government direction to say, perhaps it's time for you to reverse the subsidy. And he came out and said, that's not going to happen.
No, the government said they'll intervene at some point. It was the president that said it.
Okay.
I listened to him. Said they won't, of course, at some point when they intervene, they will intervene. However, I started it on since last year. For long before
Kenya started when they had the incident come on board.
I said it was last year. Was that not last year?
The year seems longer, but it's.
You can Google.
They had the election before us.
Kimo!
You're right. You're right.
No problem. Anyway, so it was like that happened. And so they have been on it for long. So they had a month respite. Of course. Do you know what they went back to? The line is, okay, the price Nigeria to get to maybe 850. We'll now say, okay, this 850, okay, the next month will give you respite. You get the, former 6, 7. Perhaps the government thought it was better. So, okay, enough. People don't take more than they be some. After all, we're not where we used to be. We are now a little bit, and we still afford to do, some, for the people. That's a good decision because the people, the street will be filled. They won't even. They won't even be able to tell you not to come down. No, some people are planning to. Nobody would listen to that again. Maybe I'll also come out to the street. But jokes apart, it was good for me to also step in at that point. Also, one of the things, I think this is one of your guests then, who probably said that the president cannot to sustain this, he will reverse himself. I think it was all, thereabout.
A caller.
A caller. Yes, Ola. And he was trying to say again was that to sustain this at the long run will be very difficult. So partly he that the government will intervene, as that is what they have done. And when the good thing about this, oil price won't be hanging at that spot forever. When it comes down again, the government won't that much. They will only be enjoying the benefit. We will only be enjoying the benefit at that time too, because the price will come. If it comes below the 617, the price will also come down. Maybe when it goes up again, the government would have to step in. It's not out of place. It is responsibility of the government to take. In fact, the first responsibility is the welfare of people. The security, property, and the welfare of the people. So this is of giving the people the welfare that they also.
Is it about giving the people understanding where the line is drawn? You don't want to push it.
I think one that the government should focus on. Okay.
Mom, are you going shopping?
Yes, darling.
Can you get me a...
This is Nigeria Info.